Because at that point, every time I hear that song, I be like, David Ruffin, fuck her, David. Fuck her, David. Come to me. Come to me. David Ruffin is dead and gone. You hear me? But I don't care, because in that moment, he's singing to me, okay? And I need to make what's right, okay? I need to make his life right, because that bitch don't know how to treat him. David Ruffin, I know how to treat you. Bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, and subscribe, because it is so important to our success here on the YouTube. And if you are not already a part of our book club, please remember to hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's talk about Murray Wilson's DreamGirl, My Life is Supreme. I think this is part 13. So where we left off, we had Murray Wilson describing to us the great goop. The Motown machine unwound. And what she said when we left off in episode or part 11 or 12 or whatever it was, she was describing to us that Motown was looking for a good mix of R&B and pop. Hand claps, heavy drum accents, and repeated choruses and melodic hooks made Motown sound unforgettable, even to people who didn't especially care to remember it. Every producer had his own trademark, and some of the best Motown songs have several kinds of hooks in each song in the lyrics, background vocals, choruses, rhythm sections, and melodies. People everywhere, all over the world, identified with that sound. I mean, I'm 50. Okay, now that's old as shit. That's old as shit. We're not going to lie. But when I first was introduced to Motown and started realizing, oh, I like this music, the first song that I fell in love with from Motown was Wait a Minute, Mr. Postman. And that was like in 1984. That song came out 20 years before I even knew what a Motown was. Okay? So those songs from Motown are still great Motown songs. Listen, guys, I know I'm going to the left, but I'll be back, right? So I found the video, the lead singers of The Temptations with David Ruffin in it, Dennis Edwards, and Eddie Kendricks, okay? And I put the link over there on my Patreon and on my community wall here on the YouTube, okay? Let me tell you something. I have always loved and adored David Ruffin's voice. You hear me? Ain't nothing like a pipehead that can sing. Oh my God. Y'all, it's a pipehead on the internet that used to sing for crack, y'all, but I ain't gonna expose a nigga. I ain't gonna expose him. But child, oh my gosh, it's them pipeheads that can sing. And David Ruffin, boo, I love you. Okay? I don't know. You look like, I think David Ruffin looked like a Goonie Goo. Yes, I do. I think he looks like or Alice the Goon, okay, in real life. I think David Ruffin looks like Alice the Goon. But that wouldn't stop me from, you know, laying in the bed with him going, sing to me, baby. Of course, none of this would have mattered at all if it weren't for the great songs. As a songwriter, Barry's great strength was that he didn't set out to write poetry or make a statement or pen a classic. He just wanted to tell a story. Barry's approach is summed up in this quote. Try and make it appear it's happening right now so people can associate with it. Not my girl broke up with me, but my girl's breaking up with me. I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg and plead for your sympathy, I don't mind because you mean that much to me. It's like that girl. Oh, she ain't never lied with that. She ain't never lied with that, okay? Because at that point, every time I hear that song, I be like, David Ruffin, fuck her, David. Fuck her, David. Come to me. Come to me. David Ruffin is dead and gone. You hear me? But I don't care because in that moment, he's singing to me, okay? And I need to make what's right, okay? I need to make his life right because that bitch don't know how to treat him. David Ruffin, I know how to treat you. Quality Control, the division that screened every single track for release, was tough to please. Their standards were high. Someone from Quality Control might tell a writer to his face that his song was garbage. Yeah, okay. Or great. There was nothing in between. Grading a song for the lyrics, title, arrangement, lead and backing vocal styles, and sound became standard procedure. I heard about that. That what they would do at Motown is they would get a whole bunch of people, sit them in a room, and ask them, you know, do you like this song? Okay. Now, many songwriters were upset whenever Barry started rearranging a tune or rewriting a line, especially since he could then take a co-writing credit no matter how little he may have contributed. Of course. That's part of the goop, girl. That's part of the goop. Baby, I've been drinking H2O. Barry say, take that H2O out and put in agua. Okay? Next thing you know, Barry the Gordy getting half the money. As it was, all Motown writers' songs was published by Barry's Jobet Music. So he was already getting a sizable cut of a song's royalty even when he didn't have credit on it. Watch that nigga. Barry's input also turned many mediocre or borderline efforts into first-rate hits. Okay, now I'm not denying that he should take credit on those songs, okay? But Clarence, if you're just telling them to just, you know, change the word from H2O to agua, Clarence, you don't receive royalties for that. But yeah, the Gordy is his company. He do what he want. In July 1961, Buttered Popcorn became our second release. It was another sweltering summer, and of course, the studio was hotter than hell. Each of us wore lightweight clothing, but by the end of the session, we looked like we'd been dunked in water. Flo sang lead on Buttered Popcorn, a song written by Barry and Motown Vice President of Sales Barney Ellis. The musicians were pleased with the session, and we all left the studio believing we had a hit. Okay, but no this. Though Barney Honest wanted to give this record a big push for reasons unknown to us, it never got any real support from the company. The B-side was Who's Loving You, the lovely ballad we had recorded earlier with Smokey. Naturally, we were proud of our first two singles. At last, we felt we had the credibility we needed. Later, I learned that Barry didn't care for Buttered Popcorn. You know why? Because Barry the Gordy don't care for the flow, okay? And I told you this the last time. Barry the Gordy do not like the fact that his papa is around here pinching Flo on the ass. That's not true. The girl said that Papa Gordy liked to flirt with underage Flo. Mm-hmm. Okay, just float. On top of that, Barry Gordy's thing or zhuzh is, I want R&B that can cross over to pop easily. Okay, and when you have a deep, soulful voice like Flo, that shit ain't gonna work. Okay, and he know Flo ain't it. That's not what he wants. Even though Flo could have easily been successful, you know, as the lead singer of the Supremes, that just wasn't what Barry the Gordy was trying to do. He want pop success, child. He want, you know, the Diana. It was such a thrill to go to the sock hops and sing our own songs. Songs no one else had ever recorded before. This is where we learned to lip sync. Though very often we would be really singing along with our record with our microphones off, standing up, singing songs that belong only to you is the most satisfying and exhilarating feeling on earth. We were legitimate, finally. Okay, I mean, if that's what you want. After a month after we released Buttered Popcorn, in the summer of 1961, the Marvelettes recorded their biggest hit, Please, Mr. Postman. That was the song that I fell in love with the Motown for, okay? Because I had a Barbie record, okay? Barbie. Okay, for you little girls who don't play with Barbies, okay, that play with pickles, okay? Back in the day, when little girls was supposed to play with the Barbie and not a pickle, okay, Barbie had everything. Okay, Barbie had a jet, a limousine, a chauffeur, a doctor, a little sister named Skipper, a boyfriend named Ken, okay? Everybody was trans. And we used to have records by Barbie, and they would redo some of the Motown hits. That's how I fell in love with Wait a Minute, Mr. Postman. And I was like, wait a minute, who really sing this song? And then I started investigating more and more and more. These some bitches here. They done turned into some bitches. So you know they in their feelings, okay? Because they got the Marvelettes coming through the door, all right? Well, wait a minute, Mr. Postman, okay? They around here singing Hot Buttered Popcorn, and Bird the Gordy don't like it, okay? So now the girls sitting in the lobby where they always are, and they watching the Marvelettes come through the door, okay? Bird the Gordy like, oh, yes, 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 the Marvelettes, yes, yes, get the fuck out of the way, the Supreme. The girls, now we got Flo, Mary, Diane, Barbara, they all sitting on the bench, you know, the one that they always at in the lobby, okay? They coming through the door, the Marvelettes coming through the door, you know, they mad. Look at them bitches, I hate them. What's so special about them? Flo sing better than them. Well, Flo might do sing better than them, but Flo ain't saying, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. The first time we saw them was a Saturday afternoon, and they were entering a studio as Murray Wells was leaving. They were new around and absolutely thrilled to see a big star like Murray. The office was buzzing about the fact that the Marvelettes had written their own song themselves. So we were anxious to find out more about them. We were awful at first, whispering to one another about the fact that the Marvelettes not only looked square, but were from Inkster, Michigan, in the sticks. Coming from the inner city, we considered ourselves far more sophisticated. The Marvelettes were always very down to earth. The Marvelettes had been rehearsing in the basement, and Robert Bateman was walking around looking real proud. We were a bit jealous of this new girl group. There was a feeling of family at Motown, but they were still encroaching on our territory. After all, we had been the first girl group to join Motown. Yeah, y'all the first, but y'all ain't the best right now, goddamn. Now, it's coming. It's coming. Y'all day is coming, right? But they sitting there on that bench without a hit, stewing. So one day, Flo, big sister Flo, decided, you know what, let me open the door. That's how them cancers do. That's how they do. But watch them, because sometimes they setting your ass up. Okay, but anyway, I heard you girls practicing, Flo said to Gladys, that is one of the Marvelettes. Why don't you ad-lib a little bit more? That's a good idea, Gladys replied. What do you have in mind? Like, say, please, Mr. Postman, or add in some oh yes. And after a while, Flo and the girl Gladys became very good friends, all right? So I guess because the big sister said it was okay, then the rest of the girls got on board. Now, I don't know about Diane. She ain't mentioned how Diane worked out in this situation. But, you know, the girls kind of let up a little bit off the Marvelettes. They still stewing because they ain't got no hit yet. But it got better. Flo was always willing to help someone. And she and Gladys soon became fast friends, right? So let me tell y'all something. Oh, I love little facts, okay? So for the session of wait a minute, Mr. Postman, Marvin Gaye was the drummer on that session. I said, oh, I love little facts like that. So now I want to go back and listen to the song and be like, oh, Marvy Pooh was playing the drums. Like many other groups at Motown, the Marvelettes were recording for Barry before they even had a contract. Of course, the record was a smash, and Barry wanted to put them out on the road as soon as possible. But there were problems. Not only were the girls still in school, but Gladys was an orphan and a ward of the court. It was necessary for Motown to appoint a legal guardian for her. And Esther, Edwards' husband, a Michigan state legislator, George Edwards, was called upon. We got to get permission from the state. That's going to be a little difficult, right? So Bertie Gordy went through all efforts of trying to adopt this little girl or get this little girl's guardianship. You know, he ain't going to do it, but he, of course, you know, he going to get one of his sisters to do it and take care of the business, because that's what they do. All right, everything for that little mother. They got guardianship. They had to go through hell to get the little girl because she didn't have no mammy, but they got her. All right. I'm glad she was able to get out of the system, but Joe, Barry a trip, child. Barry's a trip. He should have adopted Diana. The Marvelettes' first tour included a week in New York City at the Apollo Theater, a week in Philadelphia, and then on to Washington, D.C. You know, I left for a week at the Howard Theater. My mother used to tell me how she used to have so much fun at the Howard Theater, okay? That was a big deal for people my mother's age, okay, to go see the stars down at the great Howard University Theater. We thought traveling would be fun, Gladys said, but all we had time to do was the show and go to bed earlier. Yeah, because they trying to keep you hot piss off the street, okay? A lot of men out there want to get a piece of the Marvelettes. We started traveling to shows outside of the Detroit area on the weekends. Our first big show was in Cincinnati, followed by another in Pittsburgh. John usually drove us to the gigs in his trusty VW van. But because this was a longer trip, John's wife, Lily Mae, was coming along with us, and Barry lent us his Cadillac. Bertie Gordy, why you ain't buy a tour bus for them people? Okay? Why you ain't buy one of them mystery van things that the Scooby-Doo and his crew had? Why you ain't do that? A conversion van. That's what you should have had to Bertie Gordy, but he's so damn cheap. Okay? How he gonna buy them a conversion van when he got a Cadillac over here? That conversion van. I don't know how they gonna get to the gig, but they better get there. For these shows, the promoter in each town supplied us with a band, and each act on the bill sang just a few songs. Our repertoire included Buttered Popcorn, Who's Loving You, He's 17, and I Want a Guy. Okay? Now, the problem is this. They out on the road, but did you hear what I said when I said that the promoter provided the band? Okay, so you got the girls singing with a band that they never worked with before. Murray Wilson said it was horrible. Everything was off. They talk about something called a downbeat. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay, but that was off. So let me tell you about this one time, right quick. Okay, because we about to wrap this up. All right, I ain't got all day to be telling you ninjas this story. Okay, because I got shit I got to do. All right, but anyway. One time when they were on tour, they was on the same bill with Gladys Knight. Again, the same situation, all right? The band and the girls, they don't know each other, so they don't know how each other work, okay? So Murray Wilson was so in her feelings about how bad they did on the show. Gladys Knight kindly went to her. Now, Gladys is in the height of her career right now, okay? Better than sugar. Honeysuckle land, the greatest expression of happiness. Gladys Knight comforted the girls and said, look, baby, it gets better with time. I've had bad moments and I've had good moments. You stay encouraged. The next show was uneventful, and as we left Pittsburgh, Barbara begged John to let her drive Barry's car. Oh, God. John had been teaching all of us how to drive. But we took the wheel only when we were out on the highway, never in a busy town. At first, he wisely told Barbara no, but she kept bugging him. So at the next light, he let her take the wheel. This is the goop. Now, this is what happened, okay? When you're a new driver, you don't know certain things, okay? The dude, John, had left the wheel in a position that was not straight ahead. Okay, and this girl didn't even think about put your, foot on the brake first to see where the tires is pointed. Okay, all she did was press the gas. The car was barely scratched, but because we were from out of town, Barbara and John had to appear in court a few days later. Barbara was supposed to be Mrs. Oden. Okay, Barbara was supposed to lie to the judge. I get it. They in front of the court, right? The girl, Barbara, was supposed to be John's wife. But because she's so slow, she got a good heart, right? So her spirit ain't, dirty. So when the judge started saying Mrs. Oden, Mrs. John Oden, John poking her, bitch, you better get up. Bitch, she talking to you. I mean, you better get up. Okay. The girls, they got away with the bullshit, but they had made a pact between each other. Okay, ain't nobody gonna snitch. Nobody snitches. Okay, we will not let Bertie Gordy know that we crashed this Cadillac. Okay, I could dig it. Once we were home, though, it wasn't long before the truth got back to Barry. We never knew who spilled the beans, but no one except John was above suspicion. One evening, Barry summoned us into the office, one at a time. I don't remember whom Barry questioned first, but he made it impossible for anyone coming out of his office to say anything to the others. So we had no way of knowing what Barry knew or who had said what. I was literally shaking as I entered the room. Speaking gently, Barry asked me all kinds of questions about what happened to his caddy. The office seemed to be closing in on me until I felt like a prisoner in a cell. After a few minutes of this interrogation, I surmised that Barry might know the truth, but I promised to back up my friends, and that's what I did. Mary, who was driving the car when the accident happened? If you have not already done so, babies, please remember to like, share to Facebook, and subscribe because it is so important to our success here on the YouTube. Now remember this. The same people that you meet on the way up will always be the same people that you meet on the way down. My naysayers, my patron loves. You babies, have a good one. Be safe. We opening back up soon, y'all. Y'all better get ready. Get them damn vaccines, y'all. Shoot.